You are. How are you? I'm back with John Steele in the house. A 2026 film titled Wardriver will tell the story of a hacker who is able to break into a Wii network to steal money from other people's accounts. Suddenly, he has to be caught in a serious problem that risks his own life. How exciting and smart is the hacker? Come on, just install the handspring, full, symmetrical position of the material. Tighten your underwear. Enjoy watching and check the kick rod. The story will focus on a young man named Cole who is pretending to buy snacks at a mini market. In fact, his real goal is to take a photo of the ATM machine there. Where Cole is a hacker, or hacker, who is usually called Wardriver, a term for criminals who like to steal data and digital money from other people. Not only ATM machines, Cole is also able to steal money just by relying on the Wii network. For example, like now. Cole usually goes around the city looking for luxury places that have weak internet security systems. After finding one, Cole only needs to enter the Wii network of that place, which happens to be a luxury restaurant. With a laptop, Cole opened the special software he usually used for hacking, sent an email message to the restaurant manager, and fished the manager to click on a link he had sent. After that, Cole only needed to drain all of his savings, which were actually the employees' salaries. That's why he often acted at the end of the month, right before the manager distributed his employees' salaries. While Cole was in action, there was a restaurant employee who was seen just coming home from work. Cole was nervous because he was afraid of being caught, especially seeing the man's behavior, who seemed suspicious because he parked near the restaurant where he worked. However, the man did nothing and just walked past Cole. The next afternoon, after the successful action last night, Cole was woken up by someone knocking on his door, which turned out be Oscar, the restaurant employee who worked as a doorman that you had seen last night. Because of Cole's actions last night, Oscar and all the restaurant employees were late in getting their paychecks because the manager claimed to have been exhausted from the robbery. Suspicious of Cole, who parked near his restaurant, Oscar checked the CCTV cameras and managed to get his car's license plate number. After that, Oscar just needed to track down the car's owner. And here he is now. Not wanting to be misunderstood, Oscar explained that his purpose in coming to Cole was not to demand responsibility for the late paycheck from the restaurant, but to ask how Cole had carried out the theft. After Cole explained everything in detail, Oscar finally admitted that his purpose in coming to Cole was to offer a collaboration. There was a rich girl, a frequent guest at the restaurant every Friday night with her father. Oscar overheard the girl say that her account balance was $800,000, or around our billion. Oscar happened to be experiencing financial problems. Tokens were unpaid. There were only a few grains of rice at home. His underwear hadn't been changed in a month, and he was having trouble topping up diamonds to buy Itachi's skin. Moreover, his paycheck was now delayed. In essence, Oscar asked Cole to steal the girl's money, because if he didn't, Oscar would come back to Cole and wouldn't hesitate to finish him off. After Oscar left, you immediately confided in an online friend who was a hacker just like him. Because your friend was more experienced and had more access, even though he asked you to track down a man named Oscar who turned out to be... No joke. Oscar is not just an ordinary restaurant doorman, but has a history as a former fighter who was imprisoned for 2 years and has a background as a tough boxer. So if Cole ignores his threat, It is the same as death. Not wanting to mess with a dangerous man like Oscar, Cole immediately took action on Friday night, right when the girl and her father came to the restaurant. 1 hour waiting for them to eat, Cole immediately stepped on the gas to follow the girl home to her residence. When the girl and her father entered the house, Cole immediately opened his laptop to enter the Wii network in the house. Because the signal was weak, Cole was forced to get out of the car and stay as close as possible to the house until finally, yes, the father suddenly came out and almost made Cole caught, where the father immediately got in the car and left the house. After successfully draining the girl's account and transferring it to Oscar's account, Cole rushed to meet Oscar to report his work results and ask Oscar to stop disturbing his life again. However, as a form of gratitude, Oscar forced Kay to come with him to a nightclub and have fun for a while there. When Cole was already very drunk, he seemed to see the figure of the girl who came to him and asked him to dance together, and whether it was just a dream or it really happened, Kaloon was in an uncomfortable state and kept thinking about the girl's face, which was quite attractive. Curious? Cole then began to track the girl's life, such as her full name, her residential address, her BPJS card number, including daring to enter the contents of the girl's personal laptop. It was discovered that the girl's name was Sarah, and the man who was often with her was not her father, but a family man named Mark, who was a Gadun alias uncle who made Sarah his mistress. In one of the email messages that Sarah sent to Mark, one of Sarah's complaints was that Mark's deposit of $800,000, which was stored in his account, had just disappeared. And Sarah asked Mark to come to see her immediately. On the night of the meeting, Sarah and Mark Cole, who were curious, then hacked Sarah's laptop again and watched the meeting from the laptop's camera. There, Mark looked furious because the $800,000 was not his idea, but money deposited by his business clients. Sarah claimed not to know where the money disappeared, but Mark accused Sarah of betraying him by stealing all his money. He did not know who Mark was and what his job was. Sarah was threatened with death if the money was not returned within 1 week. Feeling responsible for someone's life, Cole immediately met Oscar to explain the situation. In essence, Kay wanted to ask Oscar to return all the money to Sarah. However, because Oscar is not the type of person who cares about others, Oscar refused the request. He got no results, even though he immediately went home and found out about Uncle Mark's background, who turned out to be a lawyer who worked for the mafia. From information from an online friend who also helped, the 800,000 rupiah was probably money belonging to the mafia that was entrusted to Mark. They are dangerous people. Their business is buying and selling weapons, human trafficking, money laundering, torture, men torture, and so on. From the small investigation he had done, Cole got new information about a figure named Dog, who was Sark's personal bodyguard, who was known to be very cruel and only interested in money. Even in one of the videos he obtained, Dog was very skilled at using firearms and had been caught in several shooting cases. In short, they are dangerous people, and the friend advised Cole not to get involved with these kinds of people. Instead of backing down, Cole actually met Sarah directly at a coffee shop he usually visited. Again and again, it was still the same case, namely women. Cole was determined to risk his own life for a term called falling in love. Oh my God, where did it go? Love is a crush. That's what Cole felt right now. Besides feeling guilty, Cole also didn't want to see the girl he adored die quickly. Cole tried to get close to Sarah without revealing her real identity and managed to get her phone number. Not wanting his love to die, Cole would collect $800,000 in 1 week. Still with his expertise in stealing money from ATM machines, Cole also made a special device that only needed to be attached to the ATM machine so that every ATM card that passed through the device would be immediately recorded, tracked, and easy to drain the savings. Machine to machine, shop to shop, Cole went around looking for a place that had an ATM machine. Although the amount of money from one savings is not much old, but if accumulated, it might reach $800,000, and Cole is very optimistic that he can do it in 1 week. One night, when Cole was going to pick up his special device at a mini market, there were 2 police officers who happened to be buying snacks there. Tension arose when Cole had difficulty removing his device, but escaped from the 2 officers just now. Cole then continued his actions by going from one place to another. When his online friend asked how much he had managed to collect, Cole said only half of it, namely $420,000. But sooner or later, Kay was confident that he could collect it all. With 1 day left, Cole went to a factory hoping for employee salary money at the company. However, his actions had to be stopped when the guard was walking around the parking lot and found Kay silent in the car. Luckily, Cole was clever at lying by claiming to be an internet service officer who was checking the monthly signal. But clearly, Cole could not continue his actions because it was too risky. Company. Because there was no other place to go. Kay went to Sarah's house with 420,000 rupiah, hoping it would help a little. But when he was putting the money in the mailbox, Sarah appeared and caught the intention of the call. And Cole was forced to honestly tell the real chronology, including that he was the perpetrator of the disappearance of the money. Annoyed, Sarah immediately kicked Cole out of her house. At home, Cole received news from his friend regarding Cole's actions that were successfully recorded by one of the ATM machine cameras. It hadn't reached the police yet, but Cole's face was now well known in the hacker community. So if Colbu made another mistake, it would be very easy for the police to arrest him. Not long after, Cole received a phone call from Sarah asking him to come to the house. Happy? Cole immediately rushed there without remembering to take a shower. Besides confiding and talking at length, Cole got what he had wanted all this time, which was to be as close as possible to the girl he adored. And that made Cole feel very happy and no longer cared about the big problem he was currently facing. Upon arriving at the housing complex, Cole was suddenly approached by one of his neighbors, who informed him that a stranger had broken into his house and did not want to involve the police. In this case, Cole asked the neighbor not to panic and worry. Meanwhile, Cole immediately took a baseball bat and slowly entered his house. And yes, it was Dog, Mark's personal bodyguard, who came to arrest him. Because Dog fainted after being hit with a baseball bat, Cole immediately looked at the monitor screen after his friend sent an important message of who knows what it was. While still unconscious, Cole took Dog to a quiet place to be questioned regarding what Mark already knew. From Dog's account, currently Mark did not know about the call and his closeness to Sarah. Dog's arrival was only to warn Kolja and not to get involved in Sarah's problem. Because Cole did not know exactly what Sarah was like and who she really was. However, because Cole loved Sarah too much and would not back down an inch, Cole was determined to kill Dog so that no one else would know about his involvement in this problem. After dealing with Dog, Cole immediately met Sarah to tell her about his plan to end this problem. Cole had a brilliant idea to rob the cash in Mark's house. However, Cole needed Sarah's help to lure him out of his house, and needed one more person to make this plan run smoothly. Oscar was the right person to be part of this plan. Cole and Sarah met him to invite him to a big plan with a much bigger result, namely Mark's cash savings. At first, Oscar was not interested, but when Sarah told him the nominal amount of money, Oscar immediately agreed. First step, Sarah contacted Mark to invite him to meet at a regular restaurant. Sarah pretended to have $800,000 so that Mark was willing to meet her. While in the car on the way to the restaurant, Sarah began to flirt with Mark to improve their relationship. Sarah also gave him a check containing $800,000, which was actually empty. And right before they got out of the car, Sarah took Mark's cell phone from his pants pocket and immediately gave it to Oscar. Thank you. After receiving his cell phone, Oscar immediately went to the back to connect the phone to the laptop that Cole had given him. At the same time, Cole was seen in front of Mark's house waiting for the phone to connect to his laptop. With Mark's phone, Kay now has access to Mark's house, including being able to open the safe containing his cash. And during the call carrying all his cash, Sarah's job is to distract Mark so he doesn't notice his missing phone. Just as Kay was still putting his money in his pocket, Mark began to realize his missing phone. Oscar quickly returned to the front and pretended to find Mac's phone falling on the floor. Tense because of the moment just now, Sarah asked permission to go to the toilet for a moment, where we will be shown a surprising fact and plot twist that Oscar and Sarah are a couple who have been planning this for a long time. Just accompany Kay. At the same time, Cole was almost caught by Mark's wife and child, who had just come home from outside. Luckily, Cole managed to leave before they realized it, but his wife immediately called Mark her husband to tell him that their house had just been burglarized. Suspicious that this had something to do with Sarah, Mark, who was driving home, finally openly accused Sarah of being part of this thief's plan. Without a word, Sarah was asked to contact Cole and tell him their meeting location. Hey, I just want to make...
Me. Soon.
After Sarah told him the new location, Cole immediately told Oscar about it, and it was in an abandoned factory. This is where the four of them are now. Oscar had pointed a gun, but Mac told him to throw it away if he didn't want Sarah to die before their very eyes. After the situation was under control, Mac, took them all to the usual factory. He tortured and burned his rival client. But before entering the burning room, Cole immediately told him about his expertise in hacking other people's data. If Mark thought he had nothing to offer, he was very wrong. Before starting this plan, Cole had already collected all the crime records and personal data into his computer. If the call died now, Sal, then all the data would automatically be sent to the media and the police. So there was no other choice. Mark wouldn't be able to kill them all now. Helped by Sarah, who tried to calm him down, Mark finally lowered his gun slowly. But when Sarah teased him to distract him, suddenly, Sarah was shot by Oscar, who immediately jumped at her. Meanwhile, Cole took Sarah to a safe place to lay down. Oscar, with his martial arts skills, had no trouble meeting Mark from behind, even though he was injured by a metal bar that Max stabbed him with. At the same time, Cole was seen accompanying Sarah in her dying moments. There, Sarah begged Cole to give the money to her younger sibling. Because besides needing money to continue school, her younger sibling also liked to play TikTokers in the middle of the night. Right when Sarah took her last breath, Cole actually already knew about it. This is where the twist comes. Besides finally revealing that when the bodyguard dog fainted, Cole had seen a message from his online friend. Still remember the message containing Sarah's real identity, including her little sibling. But what will surprise us all is that Sarah had been involved in a crime, and she was branded a master con artist. Not long after, Oscar arrived and pointed a gun at Cole to hand over all his cash, where when they arrived at the car, and Cole would open the trunk, suddenly, Oscar was shot dead by a sniper. And guess who it was? Lo, why are you still alive? This is where the plot peaks. While in a deserted place, Cole actually didn't kill Dog because Dog had important information regarding the relationship between Sarah and Oscar. Yes, as someone who has many acquaintances, Dog has actually known about Sarah and Oscar's relationship for a long time, but didn't tell his boss. From the start, Oscar and Sarah had been conspiring to drain C-Mac's wealth, but didn't know how. Well, Kay's appearance brought a clear path to the plan, which in essence, Oscar and Sarah deliberately took advantage of the naive and easily aroused Coley to facilitate their plans. When Kay asked Dog, "Do you care about your boss?" Dog answered, "Since the beginning of working, my boss has been very annoying. She's arrogant, stingy, fierce, and arrogant, and the worst thing is, she often asks me to change her underwear. So, I obviously don't really like her. Seeing her dislike for her boss Mark, that's where Cole got the idea to invite her to work together." Dog was asked to help with his plan with an offer. All the cash would be his. After Dog left with all the cash, now Kay can return to his life. Even though he didn't get anything, at least he can return peacefully without having to be bothered by the con artists who took advantage of him.